Greetings and salutations, my fellow primal movers and enthusiasts. Welcome to my channel. My name is Oscar Perez. I am a movement specialist, coach, and the founder of Primal Kinetics training system. This video is part of a video series that I call My Beef with Veganism. I am convinced that veganism is a cultic movement. So I'm going to put forth an argument to support my claim, and hopefully it will convince you too. There are plenty dogmatic movements out there, and none of them are of my liking. One of those movements is veganism. Yes, like any other belief system, being a vegan is not just being part of a movement. It is an identity. It has political implications, and many of those who identify as vegan are bigot activists and zealots. Veganism, like any other religion, for example, can give anyone who follows it a complete worldview about life and its meaning. It gives you a strong sense of belonging, as being part of something greater than ourselves. This makes any movement very powerful. Becoming something can be particularly very appealing to those who have been abused physically and or mentally and now are having an identity crisis and lack of self-esteem. Besides, a philosophy does not need to have deities in order to qualify as a religion or to make a cult of its adherents. All that is necessary to be a religious cult is for people to make an idol of something and to demonize those who do not fall in line with their beliefs. I have to make a distinction before I continue. There's a difference between those who follow a vegan diet for health concerns and those who adhere vehemently to the vegan movement as a whole, and these are the ethical vegans. So, for the purpose of this video, I'm only going to address what these ethical vegans represent and why, in my opinion, these people are despicable and dangerous. There are risks to a person's mental health in any fundamentalist group, but for ethical vegans, it's not just as direct as with any other cultic community as a whole. It is instead compounded by the fact that their diet, which is completely plant-based, carries significant risk for the brain and nervous system because it is lacking in several essential nutrients: A1, B2, B3, B6, B12, D3, K2, cholesterol, iodine, heme iron, zinc, DHA, EPA, collagen, and creatine. As you can see, without a very careful dietary management, relying upon synthetic man-made supplementation, this will put them at a physical and mental disadvantage. Every ideology has the potentiality to be taken to extreme interpretations and actions in its name. Veganism is no different. It offers a hardline worldview with a set of extreme beliefs. What it promises is very powerful. The message is also very compelling, and the use of propaganda tactics makes it very difficult for many to not be drawn to join the ethical vegan movement. This is the only way to save the planet. It is the only way to save the animals. It is the healthiest lifestyle for everyone. It is veganism or nothing. What a bunch of crap. For them, it is not only wrong to take the life of any sentient being, which they call it murder, but also wrong to keep or use any animal for our own benefit in any role. They consider it akin to human slavery. Donald Watson's original definition for veganism goes as follows. Veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude as far as possible and practicable all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. In the previous episode of this series, I presented with facts that veganism is not environmentally friendly. Now I'm going to present other facts supported by evidence that shows the blatant cognitive dissonance of ethical vegans. The genus Homo evolved from early hominids that lived in the trees, ate fibrous plants, and were undoubtedly herbivores. We had large cecums that turned fiber into fat. Climate and environmental changes about 3 million years ago put us in a crossroad. As rain became scarce, so did high-quality plants. Forests became wooded grasslands, and more grazing animals populated savannas. So, we had to diversify our diet to include meat and still compete for dwindling limited resource. Although we were not great killers in the early get-go, our stomachs evolved through natural selection to do pathogen fighting for us. It became very acidic, which is effective in killing pathogens that resided in the rotting animals we scavenged, and it also enabled improved digestion of meat. None of this mattered to vegans. They really do not care until they feel like they're dying because their diet is not what they thought it was. It is very common to see vegans throwing temper tantrums when confronted with these facts, and is hilarious. For me, it's very fun to watch many former vegans claiming that actually belonging to the movement is like belonging to a cult. You should talk with one of those former vegans. Acidic stomachs separate carrion feeders and carnivores from herbivores. The acid filters the bad pathogens whilst facilitating digestion into the small intestines. Baboons, who are considered one of our closest relatives, for example, have stomachs that are about 1,000 less acidic than ours. Meat fueled our unprecedented brain growth and cranial capacity. With this energy-dense food, our guts shrank and brains grew. Eventually, we could no longer meet our energy demands without meat. We became facultative carnivores. Whilst we could still eat plants, they simply could not fuel us completely. We had lost the ability for fermentation that a big cecum provides. We traded it for the ability to eat increasing larger amounts of animal meat and fat to power an increasingly growing brain. Unlike herbivores that graze and grind all day, we became intermittent eaters like carnivores. Our cecum shrank to the point of being a useless vestigial appendage, since we were no longer using it to digest plant materials like our ancestors did. Rather, our small intestines absorbs fat and protein extremely efficiently, and we now share similar well-developed gallbladders to that of wolves and lions. Ethical vegans have two responses to these facts. The more extreme one is to deny the science, claiming that we are still herbivores, and refuse to engage with the plentiful evidence to the contrary. The other response is acknowledging that humans are omnivores, but now we do not need to eat animals because of the existence of man-made synthetic supplements. What a bunch of nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. Only the ideologues and gullible people are the ones buying into this crap. What do you guys think? I strongly believe that I have a strong case against the ethical movement and exposing them as a cultic movement. But if you're not yet convinced, I'm going to dissect it even further. Firstly, let me introduce to you the characteristics associated with cultic groups as is seen by ICSA, the International Cultic Studies Association. Concerted efforts at influence and control lie at the core of cultic groups, programs, and relationships. Many members, former members, and supporters of cults are not fully aware of the extent to which members have been manipulated, exploited, and even abused. The following list of social, structural, social, psychological, and interpersonal behavioral patterns are commonly found in cultic environments. This list might help us more. Listen guys, I decided not to make this video too long. If I go through all 15 characteristics and describe all of them and compare them to vegan groups, individuals, and organizations is going to be too long. So what I have decided is to just go through the 15 characteristics, then introduce the BITE model by Steve Hassan, and on the second video about this issue, I will dissect everything. Number 1, the group or members display excessively zealous and unquestioning commitment to its leader or cause, and regard the belief system, ideology, and practices as the truth, as law. Number 2, questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished. Number 3, mind-altering practices are used in excess and serves to suppress doubts about the group and its leaders. Number 4, the leadership dictates how members should think, act, and feel. Number 5, the group is elitist, claiming a special exalted status for itself, its leaders, and members. Number 6, the group has a polarized us versus them mentality, which may cause conflict with the wider society. Number 7, the leader is not accountable to any authorities. Number 8, the group teaches or implies that its supposedly exalted ends justify whatever means it deems necessary. Number 9, the leadership induces feelings of shame and or guilt in order to influence and or control members. Often this is done through peer pressure and subtle forms of persuasion. Number 10, subservience to the leader or group requires members to cut ties with family and friends and radically alter the personal goals and activities they had before joining the group or movement. Number 11, the group is preoccupied with bringing in new members. Number 12, the group is preoccupied with making money. Number 13, members are expected to devote inordinate amounts of time to the group and group-related activities. Number 14, members are encouraged or required to live and or socialize only with other group members. Number 15, the most loyal members feel there can be no life outside the context of the group. They believe there is no other way to be and often fear reprisals to themselves or others if they leave the group or even considering leaving. Are you not convinced yet? Because I think I'm presenting a pretty good case. Flawless, if I may say myself. Well, if you're not, I'm saving the best for last. The BITE model as it was developed by Steve Hassan. Before I introduce the BITE model, I want to talk a little bit about Steve Alan Hassan. He is an American mental health counselor who has written on the subject of mind control and how to help people who have been harmed by the experience. He has been helping people exit destructive cults since 1976. Hassan is a former member of the Unification Church, and he founded Ex Moon Inc. in 1979 before assisting with involuntary deprogrammings in association with the Cult Awareness Network. In 1999, Hassan developed what he describes as a non-coercive methods to help members of cults to quit their groups. This is from his Wikipedia page. Based on research and theory by Robert J. Lifton, Margaret Singer, Edgar Schein, Louis Joylin West, and others who studied brainwashing in Maoist China, as well as cognitive dissonance theory by Leon Festinger, Stephen Alan Hassan developed the BITE model to describe the specific methods that cults use to recruit and maintain control over people. Behavior control. Promote dependence and obedience. Modify behavior with rewards and punishments. Dictate where and with whom to live. Restrict or control sexuality. Control clothing and hairstyle. Regulate what and how much you eat and drink. Deprive you of 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Exploit you financially. Restrict leisure time and activities. Require you to seek permission for major decisions. Information control. Deliberately withhold and distort information. forbid you from speaking with ex-members and critics, discourage access to non-cult sources of information, divide information into insider versus outsider doctrine, generate and use propaganda extensively, use information gained in confession sessions against you, gaslight to make you doubt your own memory, require you to report thoughts, feelings, and activities to superiors, encourage you to spy and report on others' misconduct. Thought control. Instill black versus white, us versus them, and good versus evil thinking. Change your identity, possibly even your name. Use loaded language and cliché to stop complex thought. Induce hypnotic or trance states to indoctrinate. Teach thought-stopping techniques to prevent critical thoughts. Allow only positive thoughts. Use excessive meditation, singing, prayer, and chanting to block thoughts. Reject rational analysis, critical thinking, and doubt. Emotional control. Instill irrational fears, phobias, of questioning or leaving the group. Label some emotions as evil, worldly, sinful, or wrong. Teach emotion-stopping techniques to prevent anger, homesickness. Promote feelings of guilt, shame, and unworthiness. Shower you with praise and attention, love bombing. Threaten your friends and family. Shun you if you disobey or disbelieve. Teach that there is no happiness or peace outside the group. This is it for part 1. In part 2 of the cultic behavior of vegans, I will make comparisons using examples like PETA as an organization, Joy Carbstrong and his activist group, and a couple of vegan influencers such as Vegan Gains and Freely the Banana Girl. And with that, all that's left to say to you is thank you much for watching, and your support is kindly appreciated. Until next time, bye.